Hi guys, welcome to another live stream from the Men of High Value channel. I'm excited to do this video today. Today we are going to react to a video by a channel named SomeOrdinaryGamers, and the title of the video is "This Guy Doesn't Seem to Like Women at All," which is an interesting one. I haven't watched it though, but I'm excited to do a reaction to it, so hope you guys are too. Let's go.
Hello guys and gals, me Mutahar. In today's video I'm going to tack on with a little sponsor call. Please don't follow whatever words you hear in this video. I usually have to bring that sponsor on when we're about to hear some really outlandish, stupid things. What you're about to hear in this video that I'm commenting on from another person is some of the most insane bullshit that you have ever heard. Do not follow any advice from the individual you are about to see, because it might land you in some hot water and throw you down a rabbit hole that you don't want to go down. Now, TikTok, like most social media crack dens, are filled with individuals like pickup artists, people who have the grasp on the female mind. And I hate to use terms like this, but we're gonna have to look into it, like incel stuff, later on. So today's video is...
Oh, this is gonna be good stuff. First of all, this guy doesn't agree with what this guy he's gonna react to is gonna say, which is cool, because then we're gonna have two different opinions, and then I'm gonna share my opinion in the middle. Yes. Players, incels, this is totally in my league of topics.
Women are not real. Now, this blows my mind like an M. Night Shyamalan movie, okay? It slaps me harder than my dad does on report card day. Because I used to think that women were like, the other half to making me. My mom was a woman. Apparently, she ain't real. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an 11-minute affair. I'm only going to cover what I think are the main points. And beyond that, we're going to move on and talk about the actual issue at hand.
Women are the physical manifestation of sensory perception. And in the same sense that when your senses are overloaded in any particular way, whether they're overloaded with pleasure or overloaded with pain, if your senses keep receiving that same stimulus over and over, you are not going to have...
What the fuck? What is this? What? It's like, ladies and gentlemen, I had to play the 20 seconds because the introduction, I swear to God, I've listened to it like 4 times. It's like when a pseudo-intellectual comes out and tells you, tries to act smart by using buzzwords. I have no idea what they're going with. This whole entire word salad didn't really make a lot of sense.
I completely agree with him. It made no sense whatsoever, so let's keep going.
In this same sense, being that women are the physical manifestations of this phenomenon, that is why women's value must be preserved. They can't be trusted to handle anything of greater responsibility, anything of greater importance than daily household chores and taking care of babies. Not taking care of children, taking care of babies.
Ooh, that's gonna be a hot take right here. So you heard it right here. Apparently the women that are watching this, according to this fella right here, the only thing you're good for are basic household tasks and taking care of babies, not children. Taking care of babies. Why not children? Let's figure it out.
Because once babies turn into children, that's when the psychological development comes into place, which far exceeds the capabilities that women are able to provide for the child.
Oh man, here we got the psychology degrees coming out. I've watched enough of this content to kind of understand that when psychology is brought up, it's so haphazardly used that it's not even funny. So yeah, according to this guy, women, when those kids grow up just beyond baby mode, when they stop screaming and crying and they can walk and run around, at that point, the ability for you to raise them, it's out of your psychological control. Again, I don't know if these people believe that women are just like pot people or something, but it almost goes against like those traditional roles that some of these people espouse too, so it's a weird situation hearing it. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I think at this point you can probably click off the video and realize, yeah, we're in for some bullshit.
Okay, so that's my first take on this. Are women able to do more than just menial household tasks and raise babies? Well, yeah, of course. They have huge purpose, okay, to their lives. But that biggest purpose, we gotta understand, is happiness, okay? So if we understand female nature, let's understand what they are designed to do that would give them the greatest amount of happiness possible, okay? Can we agree with that? Because I agree with both of these guys, or disagree with both of these, because women do an amazing job being domestic, so to speak, okay? Taking care of the home and taking care of children. They do an amazing job doing that if they're unburdened, okay? So this is where my whole philosophy and terminology and spiel comes into the picture that I explain on the Women of High Value channel. This is the Men of High Value channel, explaining that women are, when they're burdened, they're masculine. which is not according to what they were designed to be, which is not according to their nature. Masculinity, women, no, not so much, okay? Masculinity, according to our definition, is the ability to control your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors independent of circumstances and take upon yourself tons of responsibility, okay? Almost beyond your capacity. That's masculinity for you. This is not good for women. Women, they need to be unburdened. And if they are unburdened, which is our definition of femininity, then they're able to perform, then they're able to enjoy joy, like true joy, bliss, and happiness in the home, doing what they were perfectly designed to do. Jobs that men in general suck at. Okay, so women and men have different roles. Can women do male responsibilities and jobs? Yeah, they can. And sometimes they do it better than men who just simply don't care and just want to get by and get a paycheck. But if you were to put a man and a woman, and both of them really, really want to succeed, and that man puts everything he's got into it, the man is going to win every time. Just simply from a consistency standpoint. If you don't understand the consistency standpoint, it's because of the woman being designed with her cycle, her reproductive cycle that messes her up way more than a reproductive cycle messes up the man. Okay, so from that standpoint, it's better, okay, from her happiness standpoint. This is where she's gonna succeed the most, is in the home. So I get both sides.
Going back to the value preservation, women's value has to be preserved while a man's value has to be created. Women are born with inherent value, men are born with no value, or next to no value.
This one I completely agree with, okay? Women's value, well, yes, you can say that both children have value, blah, 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 okay? But at some point, the man has to grow up and prove his value to the world. Okay, children obviously are valuable because anyways, they're all feminine, right? Women are feminine and children are feminine until a certain age where boys begin to grow up. Once the boy hits puberty, that's when he needs to prove himself to the world that he actually provides value and brings value to the world. That's good. That's amazing. And with that value, the higher value man he becomes, the higher value women he'll be able to attract. So this is a good thing according to evolution and our biology to help men to actually improve and get better, although they don't care. Okay? This is crucial that we understand this because men don't care compared to women who do care. Okay? Like women care, men don't care. But if men do care about their value and they care about getting attractive women and keeping them in the future and producing a lineage of some sort, then it's important to him to get that value, which means that he has to provide that value to other people. So I get what he's saying. And on the other hand, you got women who naturally have value in and of themselves because of their beauty, because of what they bring to the world in terms of motherhood, in terms of taking care of the home, and in terms of them being simply soft and amazing, okay? When they're unburdened. Again, feminine, which is what we're trying to help women to get to so that they can relax and enjoy their lives instead of, going through all these problems that men are creating for them these days.
You hear that, women? You're born with the ascribed status, apparently, according to this guy. Men, no value whatsoever you're born with. Now, I want to see him say this to some Saudi prince with oil money. I wonder if that would go across well. I mean, that person's born with value, that's for sure. But no, in general, I look at this entire argument, and it's very easily debunked, because if you have some semblance of real-world experience, you'll know that when anybody's born, they usually have no value. When you grow up, when you go through your teenage years, especially into your adult years, what you achieve with your life, or how you, present yourself, is really what you're achieving, right? Like, this whole alpha grind set, this whole, like, beta, sigma bullshit that these kind of terminologies derive from, I like to think that anybody who wants to be an alpha or somebody that's beyond the pack, I guess, so do these people claim, it doesn't really require you to be born with anything. If you want to be attractive to anybody beyond, or you want to have any value to the world, you have to earn that value, okay?
So I get what he's saying, but what was he talking about that kids don't have value? That's ridiculous, okay? There's like some of the most valuable entities on planet Earth. just wanted to put that in there.
Whether that's achieving something in your studies or making yourself look better or having a bunch of wealth, I think that's the general idea. Anybody can get that if they put in the hard work and the effort for it. And of course, there's a bit of luck involved, as anything in life. But in reality, this idea of like, men, you have no value. Look, I'm going to say no one has any value, okay? You have to earn your value. It's how the world works.
No. Women have inherent value, okay? So now this guy who's making fun of this guy is wrong, okay? Women do. Or else why are we trying to get them to sleep with us as men? Like, why are we trying to appease them? Why are we trying to please them? Why are we trying to do all the stuff that we're trying to do for women just because they are who they are? That's how we are designed as men to do. Like, our happiness is very often derived by the happiness of the ones that, you know, the women that we love, okay? And so if they're not happy, we're not happy. That's according to nature and how we've been built up since the get-go.
Born with the potential for value. That's why when you see a young woman who hasn't done anything with her life, nobody's going to look down on her if she doesn't want to go to college or if she doesn't want to work. Nobody's going to think less of her for not wanting to do those things.
However, in today's world, which is a very warped one, other women look down on women that haven't achieved much. But men, on the other hand, if she's unburdened, she doesn't have much responsibility since she's enjoying her life, men kind of like that girl, you know? And it's bonus points if she's actually, you know, beautiful as well. Although, you know, that's very important. But do you get what I'm saying? Yeah.
Whereas they definitely will look down on a young man who doesn't want to go to college and doesn't want to work and doesn't want to improve himself.
You mean meat? Dog, I'm sure no matter what gender you are, if you're somebody that just sits around at home wasting away the days, people in society are going to look down on you. There are probably just as much women right now who are doing fuck all with their lives, probably being looked down upon, same way as guys are, okay? If you're a degen that contributes nothing to society, people will look down upon you, okay?
Women naturally run towards responsibilities, okay? So this dude who's blaming this guy, okay, and making fun of him, he doesn't understand that you can't blame women, okay? Because he just did. He said that if you are not taking care of yourself and not doing this, blah, blah, and providing some sort of value to the world, you're degen, blah, blah, blah. No, okay? Women naturally run towards responsibility because they care, okay? The only times they do not care is when they don't have capacity to care about others, when they'll only have capacity to care about themselves. Women are amazing when they're unburdened. Women are not that nice when they have been going through a hard time because of environment. They're environmental creatures. So we need to understand that that's how they function. We give them an amazing environment. Women thrive and run towards responsibilities, whatever responsibilities fall according to their nature and their desires and what others around them who they enjoy being with esteem them to have skills in, if that makes sense, right? Like, women will naturally gravitate towards the home role if that's what society and the people that she loves feels that would be an amazing place for you to be. And she would be like, okay, all right, interesting. Now, obviously, their environment is kind of burdensome in today's world, and they tell these girls to, you know, to go to college and get a good job and blah, blah, blah. And basically, most women are like, is this life? And so they end up just becoming eternal students and never really getting on with it, which is understandable. But why did they climb the career ladder in the first place? It's not their fault. It's society at large, which is basically created by us men, okay? For not wanting to take care of women, not wanting to level up to who we, you know, should be.
Are born with inherent value, it can't actually be increased in the same way that a man's can. Men's value is based on what they've done and the type of person that they've turned themselves into, what kind of value they've brought into the community in which they're living or into the larger society. But a woman's value is not based on that. The reason a woman has inherent value is because her value is based on her fertility. To put it bluntly, that's what it's based on. Women's value is based on their fertility. That's why it's in the best interest of a woman not to waste her inherent value and try to lock down a high value man or a man who looks like he's on his way to becoming high value.
Ah, you hear that?
I agree with what he said in terms of she should not waste. It's not her fault if she does, but she should not waste away her inherent value, okay, on sleeping around with a bunch of men in her teens and in 20s, because that will affect who she's able to get in terms of a high value man once she does want to settle down, okay? But it's not her fault. The more burdened she is, the more she will do that path of being sexual with multiple partners and not want to settle down. But the less burdened she is, the more feminine she's going to be, the less sexual partners she'll have, if any, before she secures her high value man for the lifelong commitment. However, he did say something earlier that in terms of inherent value, that she cannot boost her inherent value. I don't agree with that. A woman increases her value basically throughout life simply from being unburdened and having lived an extraordinary life and developing amazing relationships around her. And those relationships around her, the more they esteem her in value, the more indispensable she is to them, the more value she develops, okay? But so the more value a woman feels that she has in other people's eyes, the more happy she's going to be, right? This is why women who are alone by themselves and are lonely are not really happy. It's because no one deems them as valuable, which is very sad, right? So it's one of the reasons why women should never be alone, preferably, but the world is the way it is today. So let's listen to the crap that the criticizer is going to say.
Ladies, apparently, according to this fella, your fertility is what just derides all of your value. Men, I was making this point like a minute ago, basically. I was telling you about how much your value derives from what you bring to the table. Now, I have to imagine this completely discounts the fact that women go to college, university, get careers, do something with their life. Basically, as I was stating earlier, it kind of treats women like they're fucking pod people at the end of the day, with no greater thinking than making babies. It's like the worst take that you can ever make, and completely discounts the mental faculties of an entire group of people. Like, where do you end up? Who hurts you this bad that this is how you end up thinking? Come on now.
Like I said.
Wow. That dude literally has no understanding of female nature. I'd be very intrigued to hear about his female relationships that he has had or not had. Interesting. But what I would say about the aspect of fertility, that's basically what a woman's value is. Of course, she has more value to bring to the table, for sure. Like, men marry women or want to be with women who are way beyond their fertility years when they're at that age themselves. So, no, fertility is not the only thing that women bring to the table. There's way more than that, obviously. But for a young man who wants to have a lineage and who's massively been working hard to create the foundation for a family of some kind, yeah, he wants a fertile woman. So, and he'll probably avoid, if he can, an infertile woman. Now, in this day and age, there's a lot of women who are infertile because they're burdened, because they're masculine. That wasn't their fault. The cool part is that you can literally help women to become unburdened, and they will become fertile the vast majority of the time if it hasn't been working in the past. Just saying in terms of children. But, yeah. They're a little bit wrong on both sides, but it is what it is.
The more experiences, whether positive or negative, that a woman goes through decreases her value because women cannot handle the stresses or the pleasures of life. The more stress she goes through, the more she sees the world as nothing more than a negative place.
The more stress that woman goes through, the more she sees the world as a negative place. See, the more stimulation you provide, apparently, in this person's eyes to a woman, the less inherent value she has. I'm gonna have to jump in and say, hey guys, if the world is fucking jading you and giving you a fuck ton of negative emotions, guy or gal or anything in between, you're probably going to have a negative fucking perception of life. I'm just saying what it is, all right?
You think this guy has a negative perception of life? I think so. Or else he'd be open-minded and actually listen to this guy properly and figure out what he's saying. Okay? Because you can learn something from everyone. And the fact that he's putting up a wall, that's kind of jaded if you ask me. But just from another note though, him saying that women can't handle the two different aspects of life, I don't agree with that at all, actually. I will agree with the aspect of the more negativity she has in her life, environment, right? That will automatically create a filter whereby she sees the world as a negative place or as an evil place, etc. I've noticed the more burdened or masculine a woman is, the more you'll notice that she thinks that people are evil. Literally. I remember driving in my Uber in Norway a long time ago and listening to woman after woman after woman, and especially this woman who once said, man, like, I don't know how you can believe that people are good. Like, there's so many bad people. And I'm like, that just tells me how burdened she is. That's all it is. If you find unburdened women that are kind of, a needle in a haystack very often these days, you'll notice that they believe that people are good. They'll believe that the world is good and the world is their oyster and life is going to be absolutely amazing. So that filter is based on the environment that they've been given, and we're responsible for that. Obviously, I'm not responsible for every single individual woman's environment, obviously. But we as men are responsible for the women in our lives and the environment that they have. To some extent, right? If you're married to her, you're 100% responsible. But if it's your girlfriend, why on earth do you have a girlfriend? And if you do, you're 100% responsible. But if you don't, if it's just your mother or something like that, then of course it's partial responsibility. But anyway, in terms of the pleasures though, what he was talking about, no, women can have pleasures and it won't jade them. It won't, it won't give them lower value as a result of them having pleasure. Unless it's the seeking of trying to get unburdened from having sexual stimuli in their lives before the lifelong commitment to a high-value man comes along. Okay? Now that's the kind of pleasure that will mess up their situation over time, compounded over partners and over time as a result of them seeking that out. But that's not their fault. It is based on their nature of needing sexual stimuli once they're of age. And the world, the way that men have created the situation is that women need to sleep with men. And they don't want to settle down because that's not what their environment is telling them to do. So they basically just sleep around because that's what everyone does, right? And then they get messed up. The dating world gets messed up. Everything gets messed up as a result.
God damn. It's like, I have to understand, like, does this person have any respect for who their mother is, like, at the end of the day? Or is their mother also another pod person that's only service in the world is to clean up the house and give babies? Like, is that what's going on here? Like, the entire perception these people have of literally 50% of the other human race is fucking baffling, dude.
If something doesn't excite them enough, then it's not a good thing. If something stresses them out too much, then it's also not a good thing. Everything has to be new, everything has to be fresh, everything has to be exciting all the time, 100% of the time, otherwise it's bad.
Wait, you're telling me people crave new experiences every day? People want something new? People don't want to slip into mediocrity? I don't really get the point that's trying to be made over here. Like, why is it that only women want new experiences? I'm pretty sure guys themselves also want new experiences as well. It really comes back to that point that I made earlier when you look at this when you look at all the points these people bring up, they can very easily be applied to human beings in general. I think everyone craves new experiences. I don't think anybody likes slipping in to mediocrity or the mundane.
They interpret the quality of reality through the type of sensory input they're receiving. That's why girls don't work out. You ever wonder why the vast majority of women don't work out? They are fortunate enough to be born with a nice looking body, and then it just wastes away. They don't work out. They could preserve their body a little bit by working out, but that's why. It's because it hurts. Working out hurts. And since women only interpret the world through sensory perception, anything that hurts is a bad thing. They can't handle it. They literally can't handle working out.
Okay, so now he's entering into a space that I do not recommend men to ever enter into. He's entering the space of blame. Basically blaming women that they're not working out. That's how they're designed. Blah, blah, blah. Obviously, there's tons of women that work out, okay? Now, there's a lot of women that don't. But there's a lot of women that are overweight that actually try their best to work out. The only problem is that they're burdened, okay? The more burdened a woman is, the more she's going to have a hormonal imbalance, and she's not going to be able to be consistent with doing difficult things. So I get half of the aspect of like, yeah, it's painful, it's difficult, and that's why she won't want to do it during her period and during her PMS. So she stays away from the gym at those times if she is burdened. Okay, burden so much, and also, you know, there are masculine women who have exercise as their addiction, okay, and they just have to do it every single day. And so they're just on a different plane, but they neglect a lot of other stuff as a result of that addiction, so to speak. But burdened women in general, yes, they're going to struggle with exercise consistency, and they're going to have a hormonal imbalance that literally causes them to retain weight, even though they're actually doing all the right things for some time, okay? And of course, you have the aspect of comfort food, which is the easiest thing to get. But what are women going to do? Hey, either they're going to be complained about that they're not eating enough, and then they're going to be complained about that they, you know, eat too much. Like, men are very often not ever happy with what women are performing, okay? So that's on us in many ways. And we complain about it all the time, although it's our responsibility for them being burdened in the first place, and that's why they're obese and overweight. So next time you see an obese and overweight woman, you should be taking that responsibility of understanding that woman instead of judging her for being fat. Right? It's not her fault. It's our fault for creating the environment where women are burdened. See, now we can begin to look at what we said in the beginning about women's happiness might actually be more amazing in the home if she's provided for, if she's protected by the high-value man that she's with, and she doesn't have many responsibilities. That allows her to always take care of her body, which she'll naturally do if she has capacity to do so. You see that? So, but the aspect of new experiences all the time, all that stuff, yes, okay? Women are now creatures. Now creatures, meaning they want to seek out things more than men do. Men can actually survive the boring and mundane for a long period of time, okay? Like, there's literally traders. Like, traders, okay? Guys who sit with their computers and look at the price going up and down, and they can do that all day long for 8 to 10 hours a day and enjoy their life. And literally do that like 80% of their days until they die. And they're fired up outside their brain about what they do. There's not many women that can do that because they have a different type of brain in terms of boring and mundane tasks. And also, they're more, instead of competitive, they're more comforting, more nurturers, right?
Oh man, dude, we are getting baited. This whole thing is bait. This guy has to be a mega troll, ladies and gentlemen. Where's the scientific analysis over here? Yeah, you hear about that? Most women don't have to work out. Have you been to a gym lately, dude? It's just as many women in there as there are men. People work out. The body can waste regardless of your gender, okay? Look, I don't work out as much as I should. I'm wasting away. I'm a fat, chubby Indian, all right? At the end of the day, people work out or they don't. I've dated people that have worked out excessively. I mean, they look good, but that's because they put in the hours that they have to just so they can look that good. The idea that women are born just all hot and like all skinny and all like, you know, all built and, you know, they're the perfect figures is kind of a little baffling. At this point, this shit has to be trolling. There ain't no way this has to be bait, ladies and gentlemen. Come on. Where is the science here? Where is the actual logic? His whole pain argument kind of falls flat onto itself if you've taken like a 4th grade biology class, because you have to realize for him and me to be existing on this planet, and all of you know, our moms have to go through a significant investment of pain to make that happen. Now, as a guy, I am thankful every day. Look, I praise God every day that I don't have the ability to go through that, because I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't understand baby fever. Like, I get having kids is a very rewarding experience, but that amount of pain that you have to sit through, that amount of pushing, that entire moment is something that I don't think I could do, man. I mean, bottoms up to the ladies out there. If you're able to go through that or you have kids, that's a significant investment of pain. And you yourself are disproving this guy's statements right here.
When a woman goes through
It is amazing that how women give birth. Absolutely.
too many negative experiences, she's not able to renew herself because women are not as connected to God. They're not able to refresh themselves psychologically. They're not able to detach themselves from the material world. And don't let their astrology fool you either. All this crystals, all the chakra, the healing bullshit, there's no such thing as chakras. There's no such thing as crystals, you know, lighting incense. All of that is still sensory. There's no divine presence there. It's still, just because it makes them feel good doesn't mean that there's a divine presence there.
Your fairy tales are more real than my fairy tales is all I heard in that scenario. So ladies and gentlemen, this whole point I wanted to include because it's really one of those situations where this guy goes off rail, like he derails his entire point. Now, to understand, these kind of videos are built with just hopping from BS point to another BS point and hoping that the person watching will eventually start believing in whatever BS you're spousing. So I have no idea why the divine is brought into it. I think that there's just as many guys and girls. I think there's just as many human beings that are into the divine as they are not into the divine. I don't think your gender has anything to do with your connection to the Lord above. But I guess, we had to find a point out somewhere, right? God damn.
But in the same sense,
yeah, I don't think it's very wise to bring up God and religion when it comes to that, because if you'll notice, women very often are more religious than men, so to speak. Like, they're more spiritual. They're more in tune with the unseen, so to speak. And that's why they do what they do. There's a connection there that they have emotionally with things that men just simply very often do not. Are there men that do? Yeah, but they very often are quite feminine. I've noticed. Like, if the more they're able to connect to like emotional stuff, because that's all spirituality is. It's emotions, and there's nothing wrong with that if you're actually able to use that for developing and building and creating communities that have joy, peace, and harmony amongst themselves. Okay, but if the only thing a man does is basically spend his time just praying, just focusing on scripture reading and blah blah blah, and not pursuing excellence and taking care of the people around him and actually putting it into action, it's worthless. Okay, that's at least my experience after having been spiritual for basically my whole life. Yeah, anyway, could go a whole spiel about that, but in general, women are more connected, but they're also quite shallow, right? So there's a dual nature to women there, where they seek the eternal, but at the same time they also seek the things that are temporal. So it's a very interesting thing when it comes to women in that regard.
That negative experiences traumatized them in a way that cannot be recovered from. So do pleasure experiences. If a woman has the best sex of her life with a guy, she will never be able to enjoy another man again. It has to stay at that high level. You ever wonder why
Oh, no. I think we found the needle in the haystack there, Nostradamus. Yeah, if the woman has the best sex of her life, she's gonna want that for the rest of the day. Ooh, somebody broke this person's heart. Somebody broke your heart, my friend. I'm sorry for that. It's one of those things where, this is another big aspect of this type of culture, where I guess immediately in their head is big. Apparently, you got to have a certain amount of inches to be able to pleasure. Okay, I'll be honest with you, buckos. All right, I'm a small guy. All right, in every capacity. Yet I've never had that problem in my life. I can freely admit it. I mean, at the end of the day, I can't be 13-inch Muda. Okay, I'm comfortable being 13mm Muda, and that's pretty much where the story is gonna lie down. Okay, all right. At the end of the day, it don't really matter. But I mean, hey, listen. I have to imagine the heart got broken. Somehow, some girl left this guy for another individual, and that's pretty much where it ended. And I'm going to just say what I say to every other guy. There are plenty of fish in the sea, homie. You're only 20 years old from what I see in this video. You have an entire life ahead of you. Don't let one bad relationship sour the next several relationships, okay?
Divorce court.
There's two, both of them have points, but the one that has the stronger point is the white dude right here, okay? Because it is a problem. If you've seen my video called Casual Sex is Russian Roulette for Women, you'll notice that the worst type of situation a woman can find herself in is if she actually has amazing sexual relationships with the guy and she's not able to keep him. This dude's right when it comes to that, because the woman will be comparing that continuously for the rest of her life, most probably, unless she's able to be with a guy that's better, or that brings more happiness and more connection than what that other dude in the past managed to do. The pain of comparison is real when it comes to this stuff, which is what causes so many problems in families' lives in general, because this is something that follows a woman and a man for a long period of time, because they're gonna have sex for the rest of their life. And you'll notice that in a lot of marriages, the ones that don't work out the most are the ones where women have had a lot of sexual partners. Is that because of the amount? No, it's very often because of the one or two guys that she was with that were absolutely amazing that she got rejected by. Okay? That's the biggest problem that comes into a woman's marriage and family relationship for life, actually. There's a reason why men try to find women that haven't had as many sexual partners, and why women try to evade the question. I don't think anyone should be asking that question outright like that, of how many partners they've had. Like, because they know it's going to affect their value in their future man's eyes, etc., or whatever. So, in general, no, actually, it's pretty true. But is there hope? Can she find someone better? Yeah, absolutely. Most guys suck. But if she's been involved with players, it's difficult. It's really difficult because players usually have been with hundreds of women, and their goal in life is to pleasure women and to have them be pleased as much as possible, which is a huge problem. It's horrible. And there's still guys watching this video today whose sole goal is to get laid and actually manage to give her as much pleasure as possible. That's a bad strategy if you're not going to commit to her for life, simply because you're ruining her life and her man's life, her future man's life, right? Because you're probably not going to stick around the vast majority of the time. You don't understand female nature, so you're probably not going to be able to hold on to her anyway, right? You don't get it, and you'll probably blame, so you'll leave her behind, and now she's stuck with this memory that's seared into her brain because of her emotions. The more intense emotion, the more seared into her brain it is. And we get the problems that we have in society today. So should women be virgins at the time that they enter into a lifelong commitment with the man? That would be amazing. Whose responsibility is that? Is that women's responsibility? Hell no. That's men's responsibility for not ever pulling it out of their pants, okay, unless they're committed to them for life. And I'm serious.
Favor women, it's because the objective is to maintain the woman's lifestyle. No attention is given to the man's lifestyle. Nobody gives a single fuck about men, okay? Just for you guys.
Actually, this is the only point in the video that I will absolutely agree with. So he talks about divorce court, now he talks about how unfair it is. Yeah, if you've ever seen divorce court, it is the most unfair shit imaginable, like, for fuck's sake. If you've ever seen, like, alimony payments for, like, celebrities, like, fucking, I think it was Brendan Fraser that had to pay, like, a crap ton of cash. Like, I think it was, like, $70,000. It could be a little bit more than that. Some obscene amount a month just in child support and alimony payments, which are far beyond what you need for a kid. And I mean, shit, if you're just the general breadwinner in that entire relationship, like, you make the most money and you go to a court like that and you get divorced and the argument is against you in your favor, yeah, trust me, it's going to be terribly financially for you. And, you know, in this situation, it's like, yeah, a broken clock is right twice a day or something, right? Like, you can totally understand that. I've heard even if you get, like, prenuptials or, like, paperwork signed, that can even be annulled to an extent. Like, at the end of the day, getting married is, like, really scary, okay? Like, you really better trust the other person, because if it goes south, that shit goes south.
And I do...
It does. Divorce courts suck. This is one of the reasons why I also tell guys to not get married. Very bad strategy. Now, if you can hold on to her, you'll have the happy moments and then the bad moments and the happy moments and bad moments interchangeably for the rest of your life. If you follow the strategy taught on the Women of High Value channel, you actually have the potential, okay? It's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. The process especially, and the rejection from other people. But the system of 3 in love, having set that up, having understood the foundation, having understood everything that is to it, oh my gosh. Like, you're going to have an absolutely amazing life when it comes to women without even marrying them. Wow. So you don't have to involve the government with them in your relationship, but you retain them and stick to them for life no matter what. Them. That's right. 3. So, but, yeah. So we all agree in terms of divorce courts. You heard it from me. Don't get married.
I mean, 100. You guys don't realize how utterly abundant women's sex options are. Most women's sex options, even for average girls, are through the roof. And it's because of the dynamic. Men are the ones who are supposed to approach the women. Therefore, women are naturally going to have more options. It just makes it seem like that. That's why women's egos are through the roof. That's why the moment they don't get this attention, they go fucking nuts. Because it's been that way their entire lives. That's why women can't acknowledge that they do have it easier in life. That's why women can't acknowledge the privileges they have in life, because it's been a part of their life their entire lives.
Is it easier for them? Really? I don't think so. I think it's extremely difficult to be a woman. Extremely difficult. Okay, now it's probably equally difficult for men because we have low value and we have to fight for blah 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 and get our value, etc. And they have inherent value and da. Scrap that. Women's non-ability to actually choose their behavior and their thoughts and their emotions, if they're burdened, that's hell. Okay, that's a difficult circumstance, and they don't get everything for nothing. Okay, they should be. Like, that would be amazing if women actually had it amazing, because then men would be having it amazing as well. If we actually manage to bring joy, bliss, and happiness to women, and we understand the systems that are necessary to achieve that and become the amazing fathers that we're designed to be, then the world would be amazing. Everything would be amazing, because men would actually level up, because they'd need to qualify if we had the systems in place that would actually care about women's happiness. Female nature is a male science, and we need to understand what kind of environments are necessary for women to have joy, bliss, and happiness. But them not having to, or them having it easier than us, that's bullcrap.
So you understand that, ladies and gentlemen? Women, you just have way more options out there. This is one thing that I honestly fail to understand. Like, I'm a fat, ugly Indian guy, all right? You know how many times I've been on dating apps, and every single girl that I've ever messaged is probably so used to hearing the words bobs and vaginy and remove cloth that my dating options online are pretty limited. And in reality or online, I can still manage to make things work. Guys, I'm gonna be honest with you. If a fat, chubby Indian guy like me, an ugly looking dude like me can make it work, you can make it work too. The idea that, like, yeah, maybe it's a lot easier for women to go out, you know, maybe that does exist. I will definitely say that to an extent. Maybe that is sort of a thing. Like, I guess if you haven't seen the world, socially you're conditioned to believe that guys go out first. But I'm gonna say from personal experience, it happens both ways. Sometimes I've went out first, sometimes girls have approached me. And I'm gonna tell you right now too, there's been plenty of times where I've rejected girls too, okay? This whole notion that, like, these people come across and find somebody new in their life, or they come to them, or whatever, vice versa. These entire scenarios play out the same way. There's plenty of rejection that goes on either side. The key to the entire rejection angle is not letting it determine the rest of your belief set in life. Now, I'm going to leave that where it is. I'm probably going to cut out a chunk of this video simply due to the fact it's gone on for way too long, but this is like where it gets into like incel related culture, and like I hate using the term incel because I think like the issue is a bit more nuanced than you would think. So anyways, all right, skipping all these definitions and terminologies aside, I think the real thing that I want to talk about in this video is, like, guys, gals, okay, it's easy to make fun of these people, all right, 100%, 1000%. This guy's take was the worst take that I've ever heard, all right, one of the worst takes. And this is why I don't really jump into these kind of TikToks or YouTubes, and I even hate covering them due to the fact that there's so many of them, and they're so full of bullshit, it's not even funny. But when you look into situations like these, it's easy to laugh at these individuals and make fun of them, and, you know, just walk away from that. But genuinely, I've seen a lot of people just, like, constantly jumping in and constantly dogpiling, and what happens is you just sort of reinforce their shitty behavior. Like, yeah, sure, you can laugh at them and throw them off and get them banned off platforms, but then they're just going to come back and be 10 times worse than before. I think what we really need to talk about is this idea of, like, incel culture, or the idea of, like, people who have just inherently less self-worth than they really should. Because at the end of the day, every time that I see this, I literally see poor self-worth. These people are so focused on superficial aspects, and they're so focused on using these psychological, like, fucking, you know, throwaways in order to basically explain away anytime they've gotten rejected, anytime they've gotten their heart broken. Look, ladies and gentlemen, okay, your heart's gonna get broken. Relationships aren't gonna work. Sometimes when you go out and manifest the courage to ask a girl out, she might say no, all right? She has the right to say no. But you know what happens at that point? You write that off, you chalk it off, and maybe the next day is more favorable to you, okay? Like I said in the beginning, like I've said throughout this video, there are billions of people in this world, billions of women in this world who are eligible to go out with you. Yes, everyone has a right to reject one another. Like I said, I've rejected plenty of people from time to time in my life. And I would hope to God that I haven't created an incel woman in some capacity. Someone who got rejected by me and decided to hate all men because of it. And the same thing can be said for you guys. It's fucking embarrassing when you get rejected on, or you get shat on, or someone cheats on you, or someone breaks your heart. Look, it sucks. It happens. I've had my heart broken. I've been cheated on. And at the end of the day, the reason why this topic sticks out the most to me is I would say years upon years ago, I felt that I was jumping down into this rabbit hole for a second, and I immediately had to slap myself in the face and get my shit together. All I can tell you is, if this is how you feel in life, you have to stop, you have to stay away from finding somebody, and you have to learn how to treat yourself with respect, get a better perception of yourself, do something successful in life, and in that turn, it'll be a lot more healthy and better for you than turning into this kind of a weird pre-misogynist, or sorry, in this case, I would say a fucking full-on misogynist, and ruining the future of your life in some capacity. So
So I have to agree with a lot of the stuff that he says here. Obviously, the video is almost over. But in terms of the incels, it all has to do with low self-worth. And yes, rejection. But not just the rejection that they got from their girlfriend or from women that rejected them in the past, blah, 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 and all women are the same. Although that happens a lot. Where did it start? It started when they didn't have a father figure. It started when their mother was burdened, right? And because the mother was burdened, the mother treated her son like crap, okay? So that the son had low self-worth going to school and being bullied at school because he had a difficult situation or he had bad habits or he had bad genes or whatever was the case. There's a reason why these incels, so to speak, the involuntary celibates, are living the way that they're living. And it's, in many ways, it's not their fault because they're feminine too, right? I mean, their goal should be to move towards masculinity one small step at a time, to take responsibility for their lives. Because guess what? It's a problem that they're blaming. That's the problem with incels, is that they blame women. Okay? And it's not women's fault when they're environmental. They're environmental creatures. And in many ways, incels are too because they're feminine, right? So the moment a guy moves towards masculinity, then he'll stop blaming other people, take responsibility on himself, and begin to understand that, oh, the opposite gender actually is the way that she is because of her environment throughout her life. How about I create a better environment because I see the potential. You see what I'm saying?
So yeah, this is where I'm going to end it. I know this video got kind of a little heavy at the end of it, but this is a topic that I've always had festering in my head. And I feel like I wanted to have the perfect moment to finally get it out. And I think this guy's video was the true catalyst to that. So hopefully it made you laugh. Hopefully it made you learn something. Ladies and gentlemen, this is me, Mudahar, and if you...
And that's it. I did want to do quickly a comment that I got on my video. I said I would make a video about his comment. And so yeah, hope you guys don't mind the length of the video. I really don't care when my videos are long. You guys know that. There's a lot of good information too, though. Okay, so this is it. 66 Dark. He says, I'm a person who don't want to masturbate or have sex with anyone again for the rest of my life. I wanted to ask you, is that what a voluntary celibate is? Or is a voluntary celibate don't have sex with anyone but they masturbate? Please help me out here because I want to know what I am. My response, that's sad, bro. Why do you not want to have sex for the rest of your life? You're severely missing out on your full potential as a masculine man. Your future joy and happiness is taking a massive hit, and you obviously do not understand the purpose of life. This is my response to this guy. Do not sleep with anyone you haven't committed to for life. But bro, taking things to the extreme in the opposite direction is also feminine. The correct phrase for what we teach on this channel is abstinence, but I like the word voluntary celibate, although what I mean is celibate for a time. So your response, how is that my future joy and happiness? Is taking a massive hit for not wanting to have sex with women when I don't like them and don't have sexual desire for them to begin with? And on top of that, I don't feel attracted to them either. I'm very cold with females, I feel. I feel jack squat for them. The best example I could give to understand how I feel about them is the following. Let's say I go walk in the woods and pass by a massive rock as if the rock is absolutely irrelevant to my life. I feel nothing observing the massive rock. It's irrelevant and meaningless to me. Well, this is exactly how I feel about women. When it comes to sexual relationship and serious relationship, they're like the massive rock, completely irrelevant to me. I can only be friends with females, but the day that a female friend tried to get sexual with me is the day that I end my friendship with her. I had sexual relationships and serious relationships with women lots of times, and I was absolutely disappointed with them every time! My experiences taught me a great lesson in life, and it's that my sexual energy is too valuable to be wasted on human beings. And that's when I decided to take the radical extremist approach, which it is, to be a voluntary celibate for life. Women don't give me happiness or joy. On the contrary, they make my life miserable. And on top of that, they are very annoying. Friendship with women, thumbs up. Sexual relationships to serious relationships, thumbs down. This is what he said, and that's what I said. Video on this current situation coming up. And then he continues, I preserve my sexual energy until death. Maybe in the afterlife I can express that valuable energy, but not this life, hell no. Life is more than women, my guy. Buddhist monks are extremists, voluntary celibate as I am. And they have joy and happiness with the way they are. I know and they know that the purpose of life is not women. So, how do I respond to that? Because I got to give my response right here, right now. First of all, number one, it's just blame. 100% blame. Okay? Now, he says that friendships with women is good, but sexual relationships with them is bad. Why? Like, it's scientifically proven that sexual relationships actually brings so many benefits, okay, if you're in a lifelong committed relationship. That's a big if, right? But it has a lot of benefits. Health benefits and pleasure benefits, motivation benefits, okay? Like, if you look at sexual relationships, for example, if you don't have any form of hope in the future that you're going to ever have sex with anyone, like, what's your goal? Like, what are you working towards? Like, how are you going to establish value to other people? That's kind of how I look at it, because I can promise you there is no man. As I say this, I remember there are amazing scientists that have gone voluntary celibate, Buddhist monks, blah, 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 etc., etc. However, it's not according to our design. I think those guys suffered a great deal from not having female companionship throughout their lives, unnecessarily. And they probably would have been even more amazing scientists if they had understood female nature and lived according to bringing joy, bliss, and happiness to females would have given them joy, bliss, and happiness to them. Like, if people understand female nature and what brings out the best of the best in a woman, why would you not want women in your life as a sexual partner, as the mother of your children, as creating the most amazing situations for the future of your life, if you do it the right way? Can you do it with monogamy? Yes. Then you'll have great experiences and horrible experiences and problems that you can't get out of. If you understand women of high value in the 3 in love situation that I explained there, like, life becomes so amazing. You never have to blame women ever again. Women are not annoying if they're unburdened. Women do not disappoint you, like, rarely, if ever, if they're unburdened. So the key is that he's blaming women, and he hasn't understood how to unburden them, and he hasn't met or been with women that are unburdened. Very often, the extremist approach is a feminine approach because there is a middle ground that produces joy, bliss, and happiness. Now, he believes he can have joy, bliss, and happiness without female companionship throughout his life. But there's very few things that trump the experience of becoming a father and then seeing your posterity do greater things to humanity than you were ever able to, because you taught them the right way. That creates joy, bliss, and happiness in a completely different way and to a completely different level than what a Buddhist monk is experiencing in terms of joy, bliss, and happiness, and what him as a guy would experience, in my opinion. I think it's a horrible mistake that he's making, but I also know that it's temporary because he's feminine. Very often, feminine guys make decisions that are like alpha omega, and then they choose to go back on that at some future point in time. And I hope that that's the case for this guy, but he might hear this and say, no, I'm going to do it for sure, no matter what, blah, blah, blah. And that's great, and that's up to you. I'm just basically, my job is to help you guys understand true joy, bliss, and happiness. And no, you will never, ever experience that without having wonderful female sexual companionship throughout your life. I think that's one of the greatest joys that you can experience in your life and the greatest mystery to explore together. And to miss out on that, I think this guy's doing a better job than homosexuals, in my opinion. He's doing a better job than incels, like guys who are involuntary celibate, want to sleep with women but can't, right? Unless that's what he is, but I'm not sure. But it's also horrible that he doesn't want to take responsibility for women. That's also another aspect. Anyway, just wanted to share my thoughts on it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. And let's see. I'll see you guys again in the next one.